Welcome into CSL. We're excited for our games today. We have undefeated teams going into this week, but obviously that can't remain for too long. But before we get into that, I'm Mad Magical, joined in by Steven Return Johnson, as always. Excited to see this game and match between UCI and between UBC.
Yeah, there's a lot at stake here. These are probably the two strongest teams, maybe Simon Fraser's in the mix as well, but this could be a clash for the conference title itself. We're only week number 5, so not too much on the line just yet, but a win here means an auto berth into that conference playoffs, and I know both these teams really want to get in there.
And I'd honestly say that's something worth fighting for right now. You want to make sure that you're going as far as possible. You want to make sure that you're not going to have to worry about next week, because, like you said, if you lose this week, you still have one more match, and if you lose that one next week, you're out of it. It's done. Your tournament run is over, despite going 4-0-2 this week.
Exactly, and on top of that, we have 8.4 not too far away. I know we have the Baron changes, we have the Dragon changes on top of it, which is really going to shake up the meta. So a win here just buys you that peace of mind, a little bit of time to get a grasp on the meta, and even more time to set up for that championship run.
Yeah, but before we do, I think it's best that we describe how our format for this competition is going to be. We want to make sure everyone is up to date on everything, because it is a little bit new for all of us here, and why we're hyping up the fact that these teams are both 4-0.
Oh, certainly. So we are in week number five of this Swiss format for all of our normal regions. That is the North, the South, the East, and the West, where each week teams will face off against teams with similar records, and at the end of those 6 weeks, the top teams with either a 5-1 or a 6-0 record will be moving on to those conference playoffs for a chance to bring home the conference title and get a berth into our national championship or our national championship play-ins. So yeah, lots on the line. Right here is the first step you need to take, and I do believe if you actually make the conference playoffs, you auto-qualify for one of the Riot Games scholarships that go along with this, so a win here is actually with a little bit of monetary value on the line.
Exactly, and this is the Western Conference we're going to be watching, and that's why UCI and UBC, these are the two juggernauts of this conference anyways. These are the teams everyone has been wanting to see face off, and now we get to a little bit earlier than we'd expect, but honestly, I expect to have some really hype matches going into this one.
Without a doubt, I think we're definitely going to be seeing this matchup once again once conference playoffs come around. So this might be a bit of a preview, but definitely still a lot on the line here as we are going to get into that pick and ban.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. We have to keep in mind how different these two teams like to play. We see Sejuani being banned away by UCI over on the blue side because Kazahana loves to play these tank type of junglers, while Youngbin much more apt to go for the aggressive style.
Yeah, and Youngbin is probably one of the most hyped members in all of the Western region. There's actually a running joke with UCI right now that they always have to keep someone on backup if Youngbin gets pulled away to the LCS once again. So that just gives you an idea of the level of play and the history that this guy has. And when you're putting together one of these quote-unquote God squads, this team that you expect to bring home the whole thing, you gotta have that little bit of X factor. You gotta have that little bit of experience bringing into it, and not only with Youngmin, but with the rest of their team and organization as a whole. UCI, they're setting themselves up for success.
Yeah, but you look over to UBC, they don't decide they want to ban away Youngbin knowing that his champion pool is probably way too deep to actually pinpoint, so instead they try to hit onto Latman and Bloodwater, maybe even a little bit onto that flexibility that we know Vladimir to be.
And then Galio is going to be the first pick here since since the Gangplank's banned away and J4 is no longer the only other jungler in the meta. And we've been seeing Galio really rise to the top of this priority ladder, still having pretty good wave. They're able to make those level 6 plays, and recently also with the Electrocute build, you can do some pretty good damage on those sorts of invades, and still the J4 is up and available, so I would not be shocked to see Youngbin pull this one out. So we can have those classic Season 7 Galio plus J4 combos, but they might have different ideas.
Yeah, but really curious to see what they're going to pick into Kazahana's Zac. That is his backup, his go-to whenever Sejuani is taken away. So, could go for something aggressive. We know that Youngbin doesn't like to play J4 the way we've been seeing for quite some time. No Cinderhulk's here today. He likes to go full damage. Captain Nuke getting his hands onto the Gnar. As we already saw 2 top lane bans coming in from Gangplank and Camille, but we know IE does have that Fiora in his back pocket.
Ooh, not picking the J4 here does signal to me a little bit that UCI has something different in mind, and without a doubt, we're probably going to see the J4 banned away here in these next few pick and ban rotations, especially coming out of the side of UBC, but they are going to pick up the Varus, they're going to pick up the Gnar, 2 very strong laners. And also complementing the UCI style of, actually no, that's usually the UBC style, where they do look for some of these later game champions where Latiman does like that a little bit more aggressive early. He likes the Caitlyn, he likes the Lucian. But this brings me back to the jungle, because there's the J4 band. The Skarner is still up and available. I know we were talking about the Nunu too. You're a big Nunu fan as well, so
Love it.
Curious to see if one of those two come out. If I have to say anything, probably either the Nidalee or the Skarner is going to be coming out for Young Benir.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. We know Young Ben loves that Nidalee. I'd be really surprised if he decided to go for the Skarner. Not really his playstyle to go back onto the more passive, trying to be a tank for the team. He likes to be the guy getting the kills, going really aggressive really early. So maybe Nidalee, maybe something a little bit different though, something we haven't actually seen out of him just yet.
The Bromman definitely signifies that it's most likely going to be an Ornn locked in on the side for British Columbia. Probably their first pick, because that way they can still, well, actually depends on what they want to pick up here. But either way, Bromman away, enemy top lane already selected, basically means we want to pick up that Ornn. And unless there's a ban here spent on it, it's definitely going over to UBC.
Would be interesting to see IE go on to the Ornn, especially now that both Lulu and Janna have been banned away. We know Squee likes to play more of the Ardent Center type of supports. Janna, Lulu, Morgana, Nami, all things that he has played so far in this tournament. But it could change it up. You've even mentioned that these teams are very, very proficient at what they do. They can always switch it up, but no. It's going to be Squee going back onto the Nami.
And with that, that's still a very aggressive lane coming out for UBC early here. Probably having the advantage around the levels 2 through 5. Just with the power coming out Tristana, and then you have a Nami to buff that up with the other two Ardent supports currently banned away. So curious to see what UCI does go for here. Alistar is up on the table if they kind of want to double down on this engaged style. And that probably will actually be Youngmin going with the Jax. I forgot about that one. But tank Jax jungle certainly been getting back into the meta. And if you want a good dive buddy for Galio, that's the best friend you can ask for.
Really isn't. Plus, it even facilitates a little bit of what Young Ben likes to play for. He likes to be really aggressive. Jax going to be free to jump into the middle of everyone on UBC and get a lot of damage on just with the passive from his ultimate. While Bloodwater going to get his hands onto Tom Kent to try to keep Latman alive as best as possible.
Yeah, most certainly. Since Zach's already locked in, there's a lot of signs pointing towards the Ornn pickup here in the top lane, unless they go the ways of Fiora or Camille. You'll want to make sure that Varus is actually going to be protected, because Ornn ulti plus Zac jump in plus Nami wave, and that man just doesn't hit the ground.
But then again, Ornn into Gnar is a bit of a difficult lane, and it is going to be IE going on to this tank top laner, something we haven't seen out of him too much, but we do know that he is more than capable of playing.
The idea with the Ornn into Gnar matchup is all about delaying. At some point in the game, Gnar should be too much for Ornn to handle, and that's when the side for UCI is going to really start picking up. And if you can get a bit of an advantage onto Ornn early, it's just delaying that point of inevitability. It's buying time for the rest of your comp, who is looking at this 2 to 3 item scalings with the Corki, with the Tristana, to actually let them get into this game. Whereas the side of UCI, they've got a little bit more across the board where they actually want to hit. Gnar obviously wants at 2 items to really start the split push game. Youngbin wants to be tanky. And then it does rely a little bit more on the playmaking aspect, is Varus ulti plus Jax jumping in plus the Galio means plays out the wazoo.
Especially once you get to those team fights, that's what you got to be looking for UCI. We know they like to play very aggressive early into the game. They don't care about scaling up too much as long as they're getting kills quickly and trying to close out a game prior to 30 minutes.
Yeah, most certainly. But I mean, with decent picks on both sides, the Tristana and the Varus, both these picks are very comfortable actually making that 30-minute mark. Definitely a little bit earlier scaling here coming out of Latiman. Probably looking at the Rage Blade. I'm not super sure if he's going to go for the Wit's End here. Is Corki plus Nami are the only real sources of magic damage to contend with. A little bit on the Zac as well. So it's definitely going to be up to him. Hell, maybe we'll even see the Guardian Angel coming out first item. Throwback to the Demacia Championship, but not. I wouldn't put money on that one itself. But certainly a lot earlier scaling, and UCI are signaling that they want to play with the pressure of this game.
Yeah, but looking over to UBC, I want to see what they're able to do to contend with UCI early into the game. They need to make sure that they're really pressuring Youngpin, who's not on his aggressive type jungler like he likes to go for, much more of a team fight oriented with the Jax, the tank Jax, mind you. Though we never know out of Youngpin. He might decide to go for the full aggressive, full damage Jax for all we know.
Yeah, how many Rage Blades can we build on one team? Let's find out. But yeah,
Interesting.
even with that, Jax into Zac, if they were to meet up in the jungle, that should still be a Jax centric fight. He still is a duelist. He's still got a counter-strike. He's still got a lot of ways to buff up the 1v1 while still giving that presence as a team fighting tank. So that should be fairly curious. And Youngbin, throughout at least the last series we saw, which was last week UCI versus Colorado University Boulder,
Yes.
it was just Youngbin taking over the jungle. I mean, we sing this guy's praise so much, but he does put out results, and the rest of the team definitely is there to back him up, and I super expect a lot of coordination between Youngbin, between Descradin, trying to eke out those advantages around the middle lane. And I think if you're looking for UCI to break it open somewhere on the map, it's got to be through there, because once you open up the mid lane, Descradin can make these plays on the bot side, can make these plays on the top side, and then just imagine Galio ult plus TK ult. You can move the duration of the entirety of your team to one side of the map in a very short amount of time. Rotations are going to be nutty.
Plus, you got the double TPs coming in for Gnar and Galio. Sure, Corki and Ornn also have it, but it's going to be a lot of rotations, a lot of macro calls coming in from UCI, and I want to see if UBC are apt to contend with that, especially when you have the Ornn for the top lane, i.e. well known for playing more of the carries on that side of the map, instead wanting to be more around the team. Pair that up with Kazahana going onto the Zac. This is a lot of them trying to say if they can also fight into this mid game.
Exactly, and it honestly feels like this is probably the biggest matchup either of these teams have had this entire tournament so far. And when you're kind of almost playing down in the matchup levels, you can just kind of stick to your one style. If you're really good at it, there's no one who's going to be able to knock you off that pedestal. But this is the mark of some of those higher tier teams. They're willing to adapt, to flex around. And also both of them probably feeling quite confident because they only need to win one now of the next 2 weeks to have a spot in those playoffs. So flexing around a little bit with what can they do, not showing too much just yet, and just basically preparing for those conference matches.
Yeah, but going into this, UCI still undefeated. They have yet to lose a single game, let alone a single series. Well, we know that UBC, they did drop one game to, I think, Berkeley a couple weeks ago, even though that was more of the new composition that they had drafted. So this time around, Kazahana having one of his staples, his Zac, really want to see UBC take down UCI. Even though they're my alum, I want to see UBC be able to put up the great fight and make this go a best of 3.
Unbiased casting at its finest. We'll be sure to get you all the best information as we keep on going. But a quick shout out to our sponsors over at Twitch, as we would not be what we are today without Twitch. They are such an amazing company working with us every step of the way. If you guys are looking to get involved or just needing a little bit of help on the social media side and all that, make sure you check out their program, Twitch Student. But we are going to get loaded onto the Rift. Game number 1 of best of 3, UCI versus UBC.
Should be a great matchup. Like we said, the juggernauts of the Western Conference. We even got a little bit of a sneak peek of what the keystones are. The one that stands out to me is IE still going for the Unsealed Spellbook on Ornn, picking up the Ignite right away as well. This is something we've actually seen fall out of favor from a lot of the pros all the way down to just regular solo queue. So seeing that he's still comfortable with that is really interesting.
It's definitely a unique playstyle, and it's very much bolstered by the fact that he has Kazahana on the Zac in this early game. And the idea still is that if you can get that early kill, if you can get that early lead, you can put Captain Nuke even further behind going on forward with this match. And that's what they're going to be hoping with, having the Ignite up for the kill pressure. If they can, worst thing you do is you swap it out for a TP and you go along your merry way. But they want to make sure they can keep that advantage going on through this early stage of the game, because if Captain Nuke gets one of those leads, you're not seeing it back.
Like that invade coming in from UCI to try to pinpoint Kazahana where he's going to start, if he's going to start on the top side of the map or the bottom. So they know that he's towards the red buff, though. Kazahana, nice cheeky way of getting around that ward, so they still think he might be top side.
We'll have to be keeping our eyes on that one, but go back to that point, most certainly Kazahana's movement in this early game is probably going to be what defines how this early game plays out. Because if he's being tracked by Youngbin, the fairly aggressive lanes coming out for the side of UBC, they're going to be pretty happy with how things are going, but UCI is going to be even better. But if UBC keeps that jungler secret, IE can play so aggressive on this top side of the map, and that's what's going to change with whether or not Captain Nuke knows where that giant green blob that could potentially put him in the dirt is.
Almost just curious to see if we'd see Youngbin try to go for an attempted invade onto the blue buff of Kazahana, maybe thinking that he can take that away with the fact that they think Zac is on the top side of the map, but instead, just going to go for his own chickens as we get a pause.
That didn't take too long, but hopefully we do get... Oh, yeah, just a quick disconnect coming out of Squee. And, yeah, I think Youngbin is also going to be... I mean, we've been talking about him so much. Of course, he's going to have to be someone we have to watch, but just looking at UCI in general, there's a really good way that they were able to secure vision on the UBC jungle without actually giving up something on the backside. So they did a mini invade with like 3 members, got the 1 ward, and then their other squad reacted so quickly that there was no real way in from UBC. And this is just great early game planning that can come with some of that experience and some of the staff that you get at an org like UCI. But I mean, UBC, they've won the whole shebang before. They've got the experience, they got the prestige. Don't even come close to counting them out just yet.
Oh, no way. This is going to be an exciting game. Regardless of how it goes, if it goes 2-0 one way or another, or goes 3 games, I'm going to imagine that each one of them is going to be tooth and nail on which one determines and which one becomes the victor.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of team paying very close attention to this match. Not only Simon Fraser, who's still sitting on top of the West region, still undefeated as well, and will most likely have to play one of these 2 squads going on for next week, but also our winner of the last match of the day, Columbia College, Drake Porter himself personally called out UCI as the only threat they see in the Collegiate League of Legends, and with Owl Drake Porter calling out the who are they absolutely everywhere, those are pretty big words.
Yeah, but honestly, that'd be amazing for UBC if they were able to take down UCI with that kind of call-out coming in from Columbia. Show that they are actually going to be the top team of the West. Great way to make them a name for yourself.
Exactly, yeah. As UCI, you can't start planning ahead. You got to deal with each and every step along that way, because there's still the possibility that either of these teams, if they lose not only this week but next week, that they could just be out of it.
Taking a little bit of poke from pros who got the level 2 a little bit early. Forky always doing very well into the Galio matchup, despite having that electrocute. Not really going to help you too much if you're forced out of lane.
Exactly. Not only do you get that pushing power just from your Phosphorus Bomb, from your auto attack range, but also the Valkyrie gives you that additional safety where if Descripton ever wants to go in, he either has to burn a flash with the taunt, or he has to have a very long windup with the heroic charge. And that just makes it very easy for pros to feel safe in that lane. Add on top of that safety from the jungler, just once again with Valkyrie, but Youngbin is going to find Kazana.
Yeah, just get a little bit of damage on him, but nothing too severe. Zac, pretty apt to heal himself back up. All he needs to go is get back to those chickens, take those down pretty easily. Not going to expect to see any aggression too much early into the game, though we do see Youngbin going for an invade onto the Krugs, possibly maybe even looking for IE shortly.
Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job. He's sticking with his strong side of the map right now. Captain Nuke is still doing a fairly good job of keeping this wave pushing. IE has not, in fact, gone with the minion dematerializer, which is something we've been seeing quite a bit against Nars when you want to stop his pushing ability. Also curious to see that no one, even in this match, has picked up minion dematerializer, so I have to see if that's going to impact anyone, but already so much damage.
Yeah, Captain Nuke on this Gnar. Try to see if he can get the hyperstacks consistently onto IE. Does a pretty good job of that, but once he goes Mega, he's going to lose that ability to get a little bit more of that percentage health damage.
Yeah, most certainly. And bot lane also starting to shape out pretty well for the UCI squad. I mean, Lanaman arguably should be having the weaker lane right now. Lies does have some pretty strong scalings and pretty strong spikes at some of these early levels with the bombs, with the Nami support, but seems to be holding out pretty well.
Yeah, you gotta always respect that long-range poke that can come in from a Varus, especially when Tristana is early into the game. Her passive hasn't given her enough range to be comfortable going up against a Varus just yet.
Exactly, and this might also be some pre-match jitters. This is a very big match for all parties involved, and once again, money is and scholarships are on the line, so maybe a little bit of a feeling out for game number 1. And just like we said before, that mid lane, pros can feel exceptionally safe.
Yeah, but Still not finding himself at too much of an advantage over Desperton. He's doing a good job with the Winds of War to make sure to clear out the wave, get himself pushed into pros so that he's at least keeping even. But we're going to see an attempted gate going on to Latiman. They bounce him around, but that's going to be the Devour Flash away from Bloodwater to keep his AD carry safe, but Lies taking so low. That's the Ignite, the heal, busted out to try to keep him alive. Thick skin for Bloodwater, still going strong, so he's feeling very confident until a teleport comes in from pros. They have to back out, but they do have Youngbin in the area, even Desperton using his TP to scare them away.
Yeah, a little bit over-aggressive there, I think, on the side for British Columbia. They saw the Tom Kench not only burn the flash, but also the consume, got away. You got all that you could probably ask for on that fight, but they kept pushing a little bit too far, and with that, Lies ends up trading a lot back as well. Exhaust off of Squee, flash and heal off of Lies, and now with not much vision game being separated down towards this bottom side of the map, Youngbin could make a play down here. Kazahana could make a play down here. And Descriton, he's not too far off of level 6. He could make some things happen real quick.
Yeah, but you gotta be careful. He does find himself at a little bit of a disadvantage to pros, who is able to clear out in mid while also using the teleport, while Descriton had gone for the back. So he didn't have a way back into the lane, instead having to walk all the way there. So finds himself at a minor disadvantage.
Yeah, and on top of that, the bot side, Lies and Squee are just not feeling confident enough to walk up and trade at all. I mean, Squee's throwing out the W's, able to get the ebb and flow, gets a little bit of HP back, but it's definitely a lane going very much in favor for the UCI squad. And I mean, maybe they'll turn around at level 6. Lies might feel a little bit strongly about it, but that is a lane that's not going to get back ahead until the 3-item, until the 4-item mark. And I mean, if you're Youngbin right now and you like to invade, you have got the perfect side of the map to invade right now.
Something we didn't really keep in mind for the bot lane.
Ooh.
Hold on, we're gonna see a great knock-up and taunt onto pros, but here's Kazahana, but he gets stunned up by the counter-strike, dodging away from the stretching strike just for now. Youngbin taking a little bit too much poke from pros, but he doesn't have that much mana to be able to follow up.
Yeah, good play on Descriton, especially able to catch pros out of the Valkyrie with his own E in, so that's going to be the summoner spell. That's going to be the flash away from pros. And once again, flash on Galio. It's like a double-edged sword. So in that lane, pros could feel confident when he had the flash, because the only way that Descriton can engage is the flash taunt. But now Descriton has the flash advantage. Pros needs to be careful that at any point in this lane, Descriton could just flash on him, Youngbin could appear, and that's game over.
It would be game over for poor pros. He wants to continue to scale up. He needs to get enough gold so that he can get that Trinity Force. That's really where the Cork is going to have one of many power spikes that we know that champion to be able to produce for the team. Ooh, Bloodwater, you wanted to steal away that drop. That would have been kind of unfortunate. And
here's the potential issue you introduce once Pros no longer has this flash. You have a winning lane in top. Captain Nuke's doing a fantastic job on this top side right now. IE going for the Thormill, looks like, before anything else, not picking up a early Ninja Tabby either. The fight comes in, though.
Maybe just try to scare away Captain Nuke. Doesn't
Good
quite
flash.
have the Meganar just yet. Had to flash. If he got knocked up, that could have been a little bit too much. Look how low he's been taken down by IE so far.
Yeah,
not
good.
Having the Meganar.
Good trade from IE. You always have to respect that Orin can just dish out damage in this early parts of the lane. That's why he's still so good in the laning phase. And with the Ignite 2, he hasn't traded that out just yet. Captain Nuke does have to be quite afraid. But going off that last point, you have a winning top lane, you have a winning bot lane for UCI, and arguably with no TP, you can basically just say mid lane's winning as well. And Youngbin, he has the complete run of the map at the moment.
Exactly. IE has to back. He has no mana. He can't go for an engage with Kazahana into Youngbin or Captain Nuke. So it means that this Jax is going to start controlling the Zax's jungle completely. Look at the wards put in the top
Ooh,
side.
Kazahana.
Kazahana's gotten a little bit sneaky, but they do know he's there. Unless Captain Nuke is a little bit too greedy. About to lose the Meganar. It's bounced around a little bit. Stretching strike to try to see if he can do more, but look at the heroic entrance. Let's bounce. Tries to dodge away, but it doesn't bring IE with him. And he is going to fall. First blood for Descriton.
Yeah, making the level 6+ play onto a team with a Galio is so incredibly hard, especially when you do not have mid pressure. We have seen time and time again Galios get shut out of the laning phase because they're just constantly kept under tower, but that is not the case. If you're looking to make a play, you gotta start at square number 1, and that's going to help out the top lane quite a bit. First blood also over to Descriton could keep him competitive in this lane, even when Pros no longer has the flash disadvantage, and that flash is still going to be down for another minute and a half, so UCI, they could look for yet another play.
All of this is going really well for UCI, this early aggression style that we know them to love to play. Discretin getting that roam off early, while Pros, he went back, he wanted to be able to do so as well. He now has the package, but it's just a couple minutes too late. Not even a couple minutes, a couple seconds too late to be able to help out the team. With IE falling, doesn't mean that they have to be a little bit more careful on the top side of the map. They don't want to lose the Rift Herald. They don't want to let a snowball go UCI's way.
No, it's really not, and they do have quite a bit of scaling. 2 items on complete on Pros, 3 items complete on Lies, and that could be a completely different story. And right now, we're only talking about the 1.6k gold lead overall, so things are definitely still going all right for the squad UBC. There's all the trains are still running on time, but it's got to be when that first tower starts falling. And here's the package.
Package that doesn't cut off the path for Bloodwater or Latman. Here comes the TP in, trying to see if they can go for a little bit more. That's Deskerton right into the middle. He doesn't connect the taunt onto anybody, but he's pushed away by the Buster Shot. Instead, everyone from UCI carefully and easily getting out of that one.
Very well-timed bubble coming in there from Squee. If he had thrown that just a second too early or a second too late, there would have been time for Deskerton to flash on top of Pros, solidifying that kill. So, a good play to keep the mid laner alive.
I just gotta be a little bit more careful. I don't know if he can fully duel into Latman just yet. He does get a good amount of trade onto the bars.
Still doing a pretty solid job. Toppin, though, is still being relentlessly focused by this UBC squad. They want to put this Gnar as far behind as possible, but this also just opens up questions of, is this really where you want to get that lead?
Oh, flash in coming in from Bloodwater. They get the flash out of Lies. Definitely understood what they wanted to go for. They wanted to land the CC after CC, get the Devour, get it right into the chains of corruption, and probably pick up a kill.
Yeah, still looking for something. Deskerton, once again, still holds that flash advantage, but that should not be lasting too much longer. As Kazahana, he's just setting up a tent at this point.
Oh no, but Youngbin might be looking for the dive in the bot side of the map while Nuke Duck is getting jumped on. They get the counter-strike, forcing the heal out of Lies. Exhaust, trying to see if it can duke away for Youngbin. He took a tower shot as well. Captain Nuke, he's totally fine in this 1v2 situation as well. So UCI, they're the ones with the control of the map, looking to see if they can get the first brick gold.
My captain, oh my captain indeed. He is holding that top lane down like a well-kept ship. I think that's like the third time he's been ganked and is still up in CS by quite a considerable margin. 102 to 88 right now, and hasn't given up a single kill. In fact, he's actually turned one around with Youngbin and with Deskerton so far. So UCI, they're just winning out across the map at the moment.
Plus stealing away the blue buff from Pros, who then teleported in mid just to try to see if he can get some CS, because he's starting to get himself a little bit into this tricky situation. Everything's going poorly for British Columbia, and honestly, right now, this is looking like it's UCI controlling the map once again in the early game.
And without a doubt, Kazan, unfortunately, no one to make Deskerton kiss right now. Stretching Strike isn't going to do too dreadfully much, and that's still the Summoner's Belt available for the side of Deskerton, and you can tell right now that UBC is reverting to their normal style of play. They like to play the scaling game, get Lies on a hyper carry or something something along those lines, and just wait to win out in the late game. And I mean, so far it's still going all right, but first tower already falling at the 13-minute mark is a decent point, but they just need to keep this one under wraps. Don't let too much more go over.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news for UBC at the moment, but they're finding themselves quite in the hole. 13.5 minutes into the game, they're almost 4,000 gold behind UCI. That's not a kind of deficit you want this early.
Almost certainly not, but when you look at everything put together, you still have the scaling advantage. Double carries, double tank, plus an Ardent Sensor support. Things could be a lot worse right now.
And that's where you just gotta hold on hope for UBC. I believe that they can scale up. They do have a great composition to try to hold on. You have easy wave clear coming in from Corki and Tristana, and then a great frontline tank of Kazahana and IE.
Yeah, certainly going on through both sides. And something to also note that UCI, aside from the engage, is built up a lot on their playmaking potential. The core of Gnar plus Jax plus the Galio is fairly decently damaged. I mean, you're going to get the Triforce most likely coming out onto Youngbin, but it relies a lot around hitting these core abilities, and if you're able to kite around that you are able to tip the scales of these fights quite a bit.
Kazahana on the wings, looking to see if he can engage into UCI. Latman and Bloodwater found their way into the top side. Same with Squee. He's only going to get the bubble onto Bloodwater to try to disengage as the ward control continues to go into UCI.
Rage Blade's already completed on the Latman. Still going to be looking for about one more item, but I mean, he's ready to start a fight right here, right now. You have the roaming coming up from Youngbin. Deskerton, no flash and no TP available.
Not at all. They get a little bit of damage back onto Latman as they try to trade it onto Kazahana, taking him down at 50%. Oof, that was a good chunk of damage into this tank.
This is a great job right now for UCI to pressure down this tower, but ooh, they need to not get too aggressive here.
They gotta be careful. They don't have the heroic entrance. Desperton way too far away. Plus, like you said, not having the teleport, he's not gonna be able to join in. And it's a 4v5 for UBC.
Yeah, but now what is going to be the response for UBC? They're doing a good job still of holding on to their base, and actually a great rotation, but I was UCI catching everyone rotating away. They might keep 2-3 members up here and just take what they started.
Exactly. Plus, look at this. Pros has found his way towards the bot side of the map, fighting with Desperton, taking a massive chunk of damage in the meantime. Not dodge away from the Justice Punch, so gonna be pretty nice for him. Trying to go for more with the package. Feels like he can fight into Desperton, but the taunt connects. Wins a void, doing so much damage into this Corki. So close to death. Doesn't seem that he can fight this Galio anytime soon.
Yeah, and that was an amazing macro move from UCI. They faked the rotation down, waited with their superior vision for UBC to go dissipate, to go collect that farm, and they just got the tower anyway. Great movements around this map. This is what sets UCI apart in this region.
This is why this is a team that everyone favors, where they look to UCI as being the top team of the Western Conference. They have the macro calls. They have the players who are playing perfectly. Desperton even going in to Corki as Galio, somehow winning that matchup. But honestly, this is where we need to see if UCI can continue this pressure. But I want to see if UBC are going to be able to throw it right back into their face.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because we are starting to hit some of those spikes. First item completed on for pros has the Triforce, can start making an impact on these fights, and we're still definitely not even close to the point where all these fights are just won for UCI. But now that mid lane is going to be a huge point of contest for the side of UBC, because if they can hold that, that very much hampers any of Captain Nuke or Youngmin or Deskerton's really ability to get this split push game going. You need the mid lane tower gone, because that allows you to really get into the enemy jungle. And I talked a little bit in the early game about that vision game, and UBC, they've been taking it back quite a bit, especially on this top side of the map. Without that mid tower, UCI are going to be stalled out for a little bit here.
Plus, I love the team fight composition for UBC. I feel like they have a much better time into UCI if it's a full 5v5, even with them being down gold at this point in the game.
Ooh, but here comes the battering ram itself. Shelly will be making its appearance on the Rift in the mid lane with, I believe that's a 3 versus 3. We do have the heroic entrance on the top side, but ooh.
Does seem more like it's a bait coming in from UCI. They're just trying to gain control of the jungle again. Look at the wards coming down. Maybe trying to bait it around a little bit until the dragon spawns up again. They already have one Mountain Drake under their belt.
Yeah, if you can't just bash down the entrance for yourself, look for other ways to get in, and there are certainly plenty of other ways. 2 minutes now on both the dragon and the baron, as that will in fact be the infernal dragon first one this game going on up, and that's going to be pretty high priority for either team.
Tier 2 taken down to about 75% health by Captain Nuke. He gets thrown back by the stretching strikes, but seems like it's just a bait. They want to keep Kazahana pinned down to the bot side of the map so the team can continue to make these rotations, continue to gain control of the jungle of UBC.
And you gotta wonder, when is this big play gonna come on across? Sure, you're still waiting for the Wit's End or the Blade of the Rune King, depending on which way Latterman doesn't want to go on that Varus pick, but you still have this great coordination team. You still have a great Wombo combo, and they could just take this mid lane by force.
Oh, unless Youngbin dumps onto Squee, trying to see if he can get a little bit more damage. As we get a little bit of a lull into the game, seeing if UCI are going to continue the pressure, continue the onslaught to push into UBC. We got time to look at the items as we see. He's gone for the Abyssal Mask first on Ornn, which is the one thing that really just baffles me of why he'd want to build that into the Snow matchup.
They're very much looking forward to that. They need to have some way of team fighting as of late. It's not going to help him in the lane versus Captain Nuke, but it is going to help out pros. It's going to help out Kazahana in the middle of these fights. So definitely very much more with team focus in mind. As you see, they're still going to keep chipping away at this mid tower. Everyone's starting to hover around this area, but still, for the last 4 minutes, this tower has refused to fall.
has indeed really good job by UBC to try to make sure that they can fight into the siege coming in from UCI. Though they do have amazing wave clear with pros and lies. The Corki and Tristana always going to be able to outshove that of Vladman on this Vars. Still is looking a little bit tricky because UCI, they're clearly not looking for the team fight. They're just trying to bait to see if they can get a pick.
Yeah, and this is some pretty good gold being picked up by these core carries. Lai's currently sitting on the 1.9. If he wants to complete the IA, which he actually just did, he's going to be able to do so. Still needs probably the 2 more item, wants to get up to that 70% crit chance, maybe even into a little bit of the armor penetration as well, but the stalling game is going the favor for UBC, and this is not the kind of stomp fest that we normally see with UCI. They are respecting their opponents and starting to actually play their style just a little bit.
The Infernal Drake is picked up by Youngpin and making sure to get that. They even get the flash out of Bloodwater, who is a little bit too far forward. They don't want to lose him, especially now that the Baron has spawned.
Yeah, most certainly, and the Baron coming up just exacerbates any real play going back and forth, and this might even stay UCI's hand just a little bit, because the reason they're not going for one of these big plays on the mid tower, just like bring Gnar, bring just the pain completely on top of this melee tower, is because there's that slight chance they'll fail, the slight chance that they'll miss, and give the gold to the scaling squad. And with Baron up as well, that just increases the risk of that. And if you give over one of these full team fights, you give the other team not only the scaling, but the Baron itself. And if you want any buff that's going to help you get to that mid game, get to that late game point, that is going to be it.
Pro's forced to use the package just to get away from Desperton. He had flashbacks of what happened last time he tried to go for the 1v1 into this Galio. Looks like it's about to happen. Look at the damage coming in from Desperton now that he has a Abyssal Mask with that Haunting Guise on top of it. He is shredding through the health bar of Corki.
It is only going to get worse because Leandre's Torment is not far behind. Still has a 2 stacks on the Dark Seals. Is not too much of a damage-oriented game, but UCI, after about 6 minutes of effort, finally break open this tower.
Finally cracked open. Also returned, we get an answer to the question of what Ladaman was going to be building. Looks like it is going to be the Wit's End, seeing as the magic resist has been picked up by IE. He wants to be able to shred through that health bar.
Yeah, but here comes a fight.
Yeah, here comes the fight. Great Lex bounce, but it knocks him out with the tidal wave. Not going to be able to get that thick skin today. Ladaman, you got to hold on for dear life. It's not going to be in time, though. 3
Ooh!
Gnar ultimate into that. Squee, he falls down. Kazahana is being taken low, but he doesn't care about that. Young Min wants to get the double kill into live. What looked like it was going to be UBC winning that fight evenly. It turned around by Young Min. He jumps back in. Desperton with the flash into the taunt. They bounce him around, and that's going to be Kazahana looking to see if he can pick up the kill on a Young Min, but IE has to flash away from Captain Nuke and Desperton as UCI somehow take a losing situation and turn it all around.
Yeah, and in the end, it goes straight 3 for 3, so not quite exactly what the squad for British Columbia wanted when they started that fight, but it's what they got, and those are the first 3 kills for them on the board at all. The big thing about this is it almost goes in favor for UBC because no objectives came off the end of that, and it gives their carries more gold. Sure, it gives a little bit more to Ladaman, it gives a little bit more to Youngbin as well, who, especially Youngbin plus Desperton, did really well in that fight, found the core members, got a little bit of gold as a result, but they're going up against a scaling squad, and they need to make these plays for nothing. They need to get advantages and start this snowball because we're going to very quickly be getting to that 30-minute point where UBC, they just look terrifying.
Completely agree with you. UBC do come out the victors of that, despite having lost more lives in that. It's going to benefit them. They're going to be able to hold on for dear life. They don't have to sacrifice anything in the meantime. Sure, they don't get control of the vision, but neither does UCI.
That is completely true and on point. And with that last fight, that was actually really good for UBC to initiate that fight directly on Lime, and they're going to do it again.
Yeah, trying to see if they can pinpoint him consistently. Make sure to abuse him because he is not mobile. He's already gone. Bloodwater might be following soon. The Chain of Corruptions barely was in time to stun up the members of UBC. But without the 80 carry, UBC looks like they have the advantage. They might be able to take this mid lane tower and get some gold back into their pockets.
And this is how you fight against the split push game. You make the plays and you make them fast, but oh boy, look at that top lane.
Look at that top lane, and Youngbin as well. He likes to go right into the face of Live, but he's taking pretty low. Gotta be careful. Has to jump over to the chicken to keep himself alive. Captain Nuke around at the backside, trying to see if he can get the flank. He dodges away from the stretching strikes. Here comes the heroic entrance, but so does the teleport from IE. UCI. They're able to hold on to the tower, get a lot out of UBC, but again, nothing going for either team, only going to continue to benefit the scaling comp of UBC.
Exactly, and on top of that, Descripton using the ultimate on that fight delays the next chance that UCI are going to be able to make an aggressive play, and this is incredibly sloppy coming out from Lataman and coming up from Bloodwater. They need to stay safe right now, because if they just hold on, let their sideways actually get this pushing advantage, they would be in such a better spot. But Captain Nuke and Descripton repeatedly have to come to mid lane to contest the fight going on back and forth, and maybe you can chalk that up to the vision game, maybe you can chalk that up to just great calling from UBC, but something's got to change here. But ooh, Youngbin!
Wait a minute, Youngbin, look at that damage! That was no
Galio, baby!
Galio with Electrocute on top of that Youngbin on this Jax. He's got the IE, by the way. We thought he was going to go for tank Jax. No, no, no.
Oh no, he is very, very comfortable with putting down some deeps. And yeah, the Leandre's Torment plus the Abyssal Mask squad were coming out. Descripton is just absolutely devastating. And sometimes you just need one of those picks to set yourselves up for this next play. You will have Descripton coming up with the ultimate here fairly shortly. Top lane and bot lane are getting quite low, and on top of all that, Baron buff is still on the table. This now boils down to how does pros do in this bot lane against Captain Nukes, because if Captain Nukes is really going to start pressing on this bot lane tower, you're going to have a UBC that's going to start panicking. They don't know whether they should go help out bot lane. Do we go take the Baron and put more resources there and give up the bot tower? And that's how you play the split push game. UCI, they're setting themselves up for it quite nicely here, but now they just need to execute.
Here might be the engage. The last screenshot was being channeled by Kazahana, but he decides not to go in. The ward hunt game by both teams. Who can control this river? A second Infernal is on the table, so they might want to go for that, but instead, they want to abuse Lataman. Here comes the call of the Forge God as they try to knock him back. Live jumps in, gets the heal out of Lataman, but Captain Nuke, he's about to go nigga. He gets pushed back away. Chain of Corruptions on to Tristana. Lataman still alive. Huge taunt coming in as they start picking up the members of UBC. Captain Nuke is dueling with Jax as they finally get the Bloblets pop. Lataman still holding on to dear life as they finally finish them off, maybe getting the rest of the members of UBC who have to scramble away. Squee, he has to flash, get to the blast cone because he doesn't want to go down today. This is the fight that UCI have been looking for all game long.
Descripton and Youngbin come up absolutely massive. Good job from Bloodwater to keep his ADC safe long enough, and at that point in time, the other two members, Youngbin once again, Deskin once again, are ready to just turn that fight around. And I mean, Captain Nuke, he ain't no wuss. He's not looking to fall off at all, but these guys, they are legit, man. They're making these fights work, and finally, good defensive play. And a bit of overextension from UBC means that Baron buff goes right in their pockets, and probably secondary price going along with that's going to be the second Infernal Dragon of the game.
But the thing is, you can understand what UBC were trying to do. They were realizing the weakness of UCI, the mobility of Flatman. Keep pinpointing that, keep abusing it so they can scale up. The problem was they didn't finish him off quick enough in that fight.
No, most certainly not. And if this game was any much closer, I would be fairly critical on Lataman because he just was never comfortable with actually walking up in that fight. And that's definitely indicative of how aggressively diving the rest of their competition is. But at this point, with how fed the other three members are, he's pretty much bait. If you go on him, you're still going to be losing your backline with Descripton. 3 items completed, is ready to just blow up everyone. Youngbin also going to blow up everyone, and Captain Nukes lives up to his name.
Okay, let's just talk about this for a second. That is a 3rd item Void Sap for a Galio on top of a Wit's End
Damage.
That is going to be some serious damage. What? They could abuse it.
Oh!
What in the world was that, Descripton? He turns it around 1v3, and the rest of UCI clean up the fight. Triple kill for Descripton, and I don't think there's going to be a way you can recover from that.
Oh my, there are no words to describe how far ahead Descripton is. Walks into 3 people, kills 3 people. That was just absolutely nutty with how much damage he's able to put out right now, and that is why Galio is back in the meta, baby.
7-0-4 on to Descripton. He has put his carry pants on. He's like, tank, what is that? I am no tank. I go right into the face of Corky's. I don't care. And this is going to be easy cleanup coming in from UCI as they look to close out the game.
Alright, someone's gonna have to work with Riot here, because I thought they nerfed this when it came out. But God, I remember like the initial days where you built like 2 items on Galio, he one-shots the enemy backline. Well, it is back, ladies and gentlemen. Descridin, he's making it look really damn sexy right now.
He is indeed. UCI, they got themselves 2 inhibitors, but they're playing this one clean. They're playing it methodically. They don't want to throw away the advantage. Even though Pros does have quite some time before he respawns, they want to make sure they take down every single objective before they go for the victory.
I mean, yeah, they're doing this one by the books, leave no room for the scaling comp to come back in the slightest, and they're still looking to make this one look good. 30 minutes on the clock, 3rd stack finally on the Gathering Storm, as we do see, maybe that's the secret Descridin's been running, as we do see the icon flip above his head, but for the rest of UCI, this game plan has to be straight up fairly simple now. Just grab that top tower, knock down the rest of UBC's base, and go next.
Exactly, it's so clean coming in from UCI. This is what we expect from a team that has been touted as possibly one of the best by Columbia College themselves. Drake, the man, the owl, that we like to call him.
The evil emperor.
The evil emperor. Wait, no, that's Swain. I thought he was Palpatine.
Besides the point. But I'm honestly very disappointed in Descridin, actually, because he had the Dark Seal. He has still no deaths. That thing would be maxed out. If he had Magi's, it'd be maxed out. And just imagine all of this plus the fully stacked Magi's on the Galio. There would not be an enemy backline anymore.
Oh man, that would have been funny, but I think it's a little bit of a nice thing from him. He's giving respect over to UBC, saying, I respect you as a team, as an organization.
As I murder all of you.
Well, hey, you know, you might as well do that.
He's a true gentleman.
Yeah. Now, where's the gentleman Galio skin? Come on, Riot, get on this. We need that.
Come on, Ender.
Yeah, exactly. But now, UCI, they're looking for the siege. They want to see if they can close this out, get the last inhibitor that remains for UBC, as UBC still holding on. Could have a way in if a miracle were to befall them.
Yeah, but there goes that last tower, and these are some pretty big items still in the pockets for the side of UCI. Obviously, everything that's on Galio does damage. Latiman also with the completed 3 items plus the Guardian's Angel. He's going to be incredibly safe during these fights, and you have to wonder, how possibly can UBC win one of these fights? Somebody needs to come up absolutely massive, but even with that, honestly, Descridin might be able to look at the enemy team and they might die.
They're trying to see if they can get onto Latiman, but keep in mind he has the Guardian's Angel, throws into the backline, doesn't really do much. He falls instantly to Latiman. Lies has to flash away because Descridin is chasing away the backline. IE and Kazahana couldn't really do much to muster up against this Galio, as IE, he was fighting with 3 members, but it wasn't for anything good, and Lies way far away from his own base, gives the killing spree to Young Bin, as this is looking like it's going to be game, set, and match picked up by UCI in a convincing manner. 32 minutes into the game.
Well, maybe not set and match, but most certainly game for now. And yeah, that was extremely brutal. For the longest time, UBC, they were still holding on there. They were still, especially when they were doing that mid lane T1 defense, they held on to that for an incredibly long amount of time given the situation. But it was like those 1 or 2 plays. Descridin appeared in the mid lane. It was like, hey, what's up, guys? Dead, dead, dead. And it just broke the rest of the game open. So good effort coming up from UBC. You can definitely tell that they're getting really close to that level. But UCI, they're still on top for now. And we'll have to see if that's the same thing with game number 2.
Well, it boils down to the different styles that these teams like to play. We know that aggressive early to mid-game UCI, this is what we saw in game 1. UBC, they wanted to hold on, but it started to crumble a little bit too quickly. Youngbin, Descridin, Captain Nuke were making sure to be very aggressive, always going for the 1-3-1 to make it so difficult for UBC to actually cut them out and get objectives.
Yeah, most certainly. And honestly, when you look at the difference between early game style composition and a late game style composition, the benefit of having the early game style is if you can make it work, it's a little bit harder, but if you can make it work, it doesn't matter what the other team's doing. You just win the game. And UCI, they're riding that train pretty well right now.
Yeah, but we're going to have to see if they are able to hold that into game 2. I believe UBC, they got the late game scaling composition, but let's see if they can hold on to that and make sure they don't fall apart into game 2. But we'll get ready for that in just a little bit.
We're good.
Sweet.
We're not good.
again. Once again.